So now that's one area where that organization said, we've got a flaw, we've got a blind spot, we need to improve that. I look at the 49ers, all right, and I'm looking at Kyle Shanahan because to me, he's the head dog, right? Everyone wants to talk about X's and O's. Mm-hmm. That's one aspect of being a head coach. Part of being a head coach is also zooming out and looking at your organization as a whole. I've got my personnel issues with who he dresses on game day and how they, put some of their draft picks. Right now, the number one problem with the 49ers, by far and away, it's the injuries. Mm-hmm. And it's been a consistent theme. Now, the NFL has it baked into the product. It's a violent game. Guys get hurt. I'm not arguing that. There's no doubt about it. But when you correlate the Niners' injuries to the rest of the league, they are more injured more often than anyone in the league.
But you know what, though?
Year after year.
All these other teams have injuries. Everybody deals with injuries. And everybody tries to find a way to get through them.
No, I'm not.
And so, yes, I'm with you. The injuries are a problem. They're a problem. And I don't know if it's a training camp thing. I don't know if it's a lack of preseason thing. I don't know. But everybody kind of goes through the same protocol in training camp or preseason. We're seeing less stars playing preseason. We're seeing less teams hit in training camp.
Well, Jaquaski Tart came out and said that the Philadelphia Eagles preseason training camp, whatever, was different than what the Niners did.
Well,
now, look,
I'm going to take it with a grain of salt because the guy's bitter because the Niners didn't give him no money. And now where's he at?
I get that.
You know what I'm saying?
You're talking about overcoming injuries. Put that to the side. I'm talking about the raw data. The raw data tells you the Niners get more hurt more often than any other team in the league. 5 years in a row. 5 years in a row.
Well, you got
something's got to change. Well,
maybe it's injury-prone players.
That's my point. They need to look from within, and they need to either and I'm open to any criticism. Is it the players that you are picking who are hurt and you're extending? Is it the staff in terms of the training and the weight stuff?
I'm sorry, Shasky. I'm sorry, Shasky. I don't want to play a doctor here, but I refuse. Yes, they're dealing with a lot of injuries.
It's not an excuse. I'm saying it is.
It sounds like an excuse.
No. What I'm saying is
everybody goes through this stuff.
I'm not saying
everybody in the NFL does, and they overcome it. The Niners don't overcome it. Why don't they overcome it? Because of mediocre offensive football. Again, under Kyle Shanahan, this quote unquote offensive guru, 26th, 13th, 21st, 2nd, 21st, 20th. That's their rankings when it comes to points per game.
There's not another team.
Is that injuries?
No, there's not another team in the league that has 11 starters out right now. 11.
Tampa Bay lost their entire offensive line. They lost their entire offensive line.
I hear you.
They don't make those excuses.
Do they have 11 starters out?
They've got 11. A lot of starters out. It became 11 yesterday when Mike McGlinchey gets hurt.
Mooney.
But think about Michael McGlinchey. Does he not get injured?
Well, he's been injured at times a lot during his career. Absolutely. Right. And I'm not in love with him. But that's again, as you zoom out and we start to criticize Shanahan, everyone agrees. Like X's and O's, he does kind of know what he's doing. But in terms of the injury mitigation and picking which players to sign because of their injury histories, I do think that they need to look at their entire organization. Something's up. That's all I'm saying. I'm not making an excuse. They're 3-3. They got a long way to go. They could still make the playoffs. Every other play, it feels like someone's walking off the field with an injury.
Mentality on YouTube. Falcons were down their top 3 corners by the end of the game. Top 3 corners.
Well, and they have, yes.
And they've got injuries. Every team deals with, this thing, I'm seeing it all over the timeline. I'm seeing it the Niners have an injury problem. Yes, they do have it. Under Shanahan, they do get injured a lot.
I think you're mistaking me pointing out one of their flaws as me making an excuse. This is not an excuse. What I'm saying is that this is clearly causing them a problem. That's where I'm going. That's where I'm going.
Great teams overcome it.
For sure.
Great teams overcome it.
I don't think this is a great team, and I don't know if they can overcome it. And to me, coming out of that game, it's not about the individual loss. I'm looking at the totality of these injuries. This is a big issue.
Listen, let's
it's
keep
a big issue.
As great as Nick Bosa is, he tore his ACL in high school.
Yep.
He got hurt at Ohio State. He tore his ACL. You could blame it on the bad turf. I'll give you that. But he's been hurt.
Absolutely.
Kinlaw. Does he have an injury history?
Kinlaw didn't clear the medical. Every other team in the league, apparently, this is the obviously it's easy to say now, every other team didn't clear the knee, and they picked him.
Eric Armstead.
He had an injury history before this regime took over. he was hurt a lot, and he didn't really have a position.
Azeez Al-Shaair
has been hurt pretty much, and this whole talk of him getting an extension before the year. I'm like, the guy's always hurt. He barely plays.
Jimmy Ward, before the last couple of years.
Same as Armstead.
Injury history.
Didn't have a position and spotty injury history. Jimmy Garoppolo.
Injury history.
You know?
Jeff Wilson Jr., injury history.
I know.
Trent Williams, injury history. So we know what they're dealing with. Deebo Samuel, injury history.
The only guy that I can point to and say never misses time, and I'm going to knock on wood, Fred Warner. Like, Greenlaw's missed time. You know what I mean? Like, Fred Warner is one of the few guys on this team who stayed healthy throughout the entirety. Yeah. I would put Ayuk in that same category. I think he had the muscle injury his rookie year in 2020. But outside of that, he's been pretty healthy.
So with their injuries, they still had a chance to win that football game yesterday.
No doubt.
You still had a chance to win that game yesterday, come back home 4-2. But again, I'm not gonna panic here, and I'm not angry or anything. I don't want people to get the wrong impression. All I wanted was a split on the road trip, and can you get to 4-4 by the bye week? Get to 4-4. Now that looks tough because you got Kansas City, and then you got to go to LA and play the Rams before the bye week.
And Kansas City's record off of a loss. With Andy Reid.
Listen.
I mean that.
If the Niners win that game,
low-key miracle?
Absolutely.
Do you believe in miracles?
I think they're going to get blown out at Levi Stadium next Sunday. I really believe that. But maybe it's just coming off of yesterday. NFL's a week-to-week league. Who knows? But Kansas City coming off a loss, they're going to be licking their chops. I just want to get to 4-4 by the bye week. But again, when I look at the long-term view of the 49ers, because a lot of people said, Jimmy gives you the best chance to win the Super Bowl. Jimmy does. And I look at the offense and the way they move again, it's not on Jimmy. I'm not saying that. I'm looking at the head coach, Kyle Shanahan. He's the offensive guru that everybody says is great. He's one of the best play designers, all this stuff. He scored 0 in the second half.
I know.
And they lack a killer instinct. Why? It's the philosophy of your head coach. No urgency, no huddle. Where's that at? Up-tempo, where's that at?
Have they even played a good team thus far? I'm asking out loud.
Well, they haven't. They haven't.
I mean, you could probably counter and say, well, Joe, there's not a lot of good teams in the NFC, and I would agree with that. But, it's hard for me to take them serious when they look just so up and down and so injured and so, adverse to the forward pass. So in a league where it's easier to forward pass now than ever.
So Shanahan hasn't won a game when going into the fourth quarter down by 4+ points. Hasn't won a game.
I don't know what to make of that.
And we could all blame the quarterback. But again, I look at the head coach saying...
That's too easy to blame the quarterback.
I'm looking at the head coach saying, I've been yelling this for 3 years, ever since I worked with Steiny and Guru. Go get your guy. Go get your guy. You go draft your guy, Trey Lance, and it looks like he's not your guy. Or all of a sudden we start hearing rumors, well, Shanahan really didn't want him. He wanted Mac Jones. I don't want to hear that. What about the head coach picking his guy? Again, the head coach is mid right now. He's a mediocre head coach. Let's put the right on the table. Mediocre head coach. He's not a great head coach.
I don't know how to respond to that
10.
because it's tough. I can't. When you go deep into the playoffs multiple times, you do deserve some benefit of the doubt. But then you look up and you're like, there's been a lot of guys who've had, like Ron Rivera, for example, had been to the playoffs a lot of times.
He's had great runs.
I don't think he's that great.
John Fox.
You know?
We were talking about John Fox last
week.
John Fox. Mike Smith made the playoffs.
John Fox did it in 2 different organizations.
Right. Went to the Super Bowl.
2 different organizations.
Went to the Super Bowl.
With lots of different quarterbacks.
To the Super
and I
Bowl.
don't think he's that great.
LaFleur. You could say he's gone deep into the playoffs. He's not that great.
No, they look really bad.
You know? So,
but I guess that's the saving grace this morning if you're a Niner fan. You look up and you're like, dude, everybody in the NFC is kind of weak right now. Tom Brady's airing out all the bench warmers he's got on the side. But I'm worried about the Rams regrouping right now. And I don't know, man. This team, it's hard for me to take them serious.
Yeah, and look, I'm not taking them serious long term. Short term, you're tied for first place.
Okay.
Short term, it's not all bad. Short term, the NFC West is going to be a dogfight. But now, when you lose a game like yesterday, and you have a chance to take advantage and remain 1 game up on the Rams and the Seahawks, now all of a sudden I'm looking down at Arizona, who's 2 games behind the Niners, and I'm saying, or actually 1 game behind the Niners, and I'm saying, damn, they get DeAndre Hopkins back. What a shot in the arm.
Well,
they get Hopkins back. All of a sudden I look up and see, I'm saying, well, Kenneth Walker III was a damn good running back in Michigan State. He looked good.
Yeah.
And Geno's not turning the ball over. Tyler Lockett looks happy. DK Metcalf looks happy. And the defense held the Cardinals at 9 points. Whoa, okay. Maybe I need to look at Seattle. Then you got the Rams who are lingering around at 3-3 trying to figure it out. And, they struggled with the Panthers yesterday for the most part, but you win the game. You win a game. It's tough to win a game when you're coming off multiple losses. So I don't know where the Niners are at right now, other than being tied for first place. Other than that, how should we feel about the 49ers? Well, it
feels like they're a playoff contender, not a Super Bowl contender, but a playoff contender. And it feels like, they need to get all their reinforcements back. I look at this team and I say yesterday's game, it's not a game that you have to win, but it's a game you got to make a one-score game. Show me a little sense of urgency. Like, those are the kind of games, if you really truly have one of those kind of quarterbacks and one of those kind of coaches, that's one of those swashbuckling, show me your intestinal fortitude type of games. Make that a closer game. You went out with a whimper.
3 turnovers, man. 3 turnovers. Unbelievable. You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM and AC1 San Francisco. Always live on the free Odyssey app. Download the Odyssey app and favorite 95.7 The Game for the best and most up-to-date sports coverage. And don't forget that you can also watch us every single day on our YouTube and Twitch streams. Just log on and search 95.7 The Game. We'll get to the lines in just a second here. I'm going to look at next year, right? Year 7 of Shanahan. Because I don't believe he's getting fired. I don't believe there's going to be any changes.
He'll be here longer. I mean, if he fulfills that contract, he will be here longer than Bill Walsh. That's wild.
Yeah. Next year, how many years was Seifert head coach? 6, 7?
89 to 97.
Did he get fired after 96?
It was 97 or 96. I know 89 through then because Mariucci's. I want to say Mariucci's first game was the Jets. 97, maybe.
Yeah. Wow.
I could be wrong. I thought the 96 loss to Green Bay in Green Bay was Seifert's final game.
That was.
With
yep.
Steve Young in the fight. There you go. And he came out after the first series.
Desmond Howard with the 2 punt returns.
I could be wrong though. I thought that was it.
No doubt. Wow.
Isn't that kind of wild?
Kind of wild.
I mean, and Bill Walsh obviously retired.
Has his offense looked dynamic?
No. That's my biggest problem. I'm like, you got Ayuk, you got Debo, you got Kittle. Why does it feel so pedestrian? It feels so mediocre. Everything's like underneath, and you got to break a bunch of tackles. Nothing feels fluid.
Right. And 408, Xfinity mobile text line. I'm getting to the lines in just a second, but great point here. We give Kyle the benefit of the doubt that we don't give Jimmy Garoppolo. When are we going to look past his last name? And I'm done with that.
What do you mean by that?
What I think what the texter means by that is that we always rip Jimmy Garoppolo. Jimmy this and Jimmy that. Jimmy this and Jimmy that. We don't give him the BOD at all. But we always sort of seem to give Kyle Shanahan a pass saying, well, he doesn't have his quarterback. Well, how many years are we going to hear that? How many years do I have to hear that he doesn't have his quarterback?
It's getting redundant and old. I agree with you there.
It's been old.
It gets redundant.
It was old 3 years ago.
But I think that's where there's a little bit of apathy this morning from 49er fans because it feels like we've watched that episode before.
So another thing, 510. Mediocre coach. You sound dumb, Bonte. The Niners got rid of him. 20 to 25 teams would be fighting for Shanahan. And I say, and? Okay. There was coaches fighting, teams fighting for Mariucci when he got let go by the 49ers. How did that work out? Yeah, Mooch went to Detroit and really didn't do anything after that. And same, look at Mark Jackson. Everybody thought Mark Jackson would get another job with the Warriors. He never did. You can't worry. Once you're ready to make a divorce, you can't worry about who they're going to marry next. I don't care.
You have to worry about your own success and your own happiness. For example, Doug Peterson won a Super Bowl for Philly.
Right.
They moved off of him. All right? We laughed at Sirianni in that opening press conference.
Right, sure did.
How are we feeling about Sirianni this morning when he's cussing out the other sideline?
And how about Robert Saleh, who we said, he'll be back as a Niners DC 2 years later. And go look at him with the New York Jets. And they're jumping around. They're having fun.
Developing their quarterback.
Developing talent. Quentin Williams and Sauce Gardner look like anchors on that defense.
I know. Well, and the thing that I look at with them is like, wow, how free-flowing does that offense feel? I mean, they thumped Green Bay.
Yep.
Green Bay.
Beat them down.
I couldn't believe that.
All right, let's go to Tyler out there in East Atlanta. Tyler, what's happening, man? He was at the game yesterday. What's up, Tyler?
Hey, Tyler.
Hey, what's going on, y'all, man? Y'all breaking it down today for real. Y'all going crazy. I just wanted to kind of just talk about what I saw from yesterday on the field. I know the Jimmy sexuals don't want to hear it, but he was missing a lot of passes that are usually made by better quarterbacks like Josh Allen, like Pat Mahomes, who's coming in to Levi's this weekend. And, yes, there were, like, 2 big drops, but that doesn't excuse the play from the quarterback of how pedestrian it looks when we're out there and we're trailing and the run game isn't getting going. The only thing I'm going to get on Kyle Shanahan for is getting the ball back with 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and we didn't get past the 50 until there was like 5 minutes left in the game. That's unacceptable.
No doubt it is.
You look at the Carolina game, and they, exploded. Outside of that, what have they done in a second half? That's, to me, one of the more alarming things, and it's with two different quarterbacks. It's like, come on, man.
So let's break this down. Chicago, 3 points in the second half. Seattle, 7 points in the second half. That's 10. Denver, 3 points in the second half. That's 13.
Yesterday, 0.
Who's game number 4? Who did they play game for? Rams.
Yeah.
The Rams.
Yeah.
3 points in the second half. 16 points through 4 games in the second half from your offense. Now, last week against Carolina, you beat them down.
Yeah.
Yesterday, you scored nothing in the second half. Nothing. So I hear for some of the beat writers, and I heard the team announce that Tim Ryan and Pop was in, and the most important play of the game was the 3rd and 13 in the first half when Marcus Mariota scrambled for that play.
What about the 6 possessions in the second half where you didn't score?
So halftime adjustments don't matter?
I mean, come on. That was the big, if you're looking back, and again, you want to be fair here, one of the best parts of Harbaugh and his staff was the second half adjustments.
Exactly.
And it was a hallmark throughout their entire reign. They were great. I didn't even love Greg Roman as an offensive coordinator, but you had to give them credit. When it came time to win games, they adjusted on both sides of the ball. I do believe offensive adjustments have been a problem for this team.
Huge problem.
I mean, if you're just...
How can you be an offensive head coach and lack second half adjustments? How can you be an offensive head coach when your teams don't rally in the second half? How is that possible?
I don't know.
How is that possible?
But it's not even the second half.
And we put him on this pedestal.
To me, it's those like right before the second quarter ends, the first half ends, those kind of drives. I go back and they got the ball 58 seconds to go. I need a field goal attempt there. And they couldn't even muster a field goal attempt. And everyone's like, well, Jimmy's throwing in a triple coverage down the field. The whole sequence leading up to that was terrible. And I just, the 3rd and 1 to do a quarterback sneak in the middle of the field with 37 seconds to go, burning a timeout. What team in the NFL is doing that?
It's disgusting offensive
Like,
football.
I don't understand what we're doing here.
I don't either.
What is it, 1966? John Brody, take a 3-yard quarterback sneak with 47 seconds to go, and we'll just take this thing into the half.
I would love to know Shanahan's philosophy, other than running the ball. Oh, he's got to run the ball. It's never been easier to gain yardage through the air in this league. Ever.
What do you say when people go, and I hear this, like, well, Ray McCloud dropped the ball, Charlie Warner dropped the ball, 2 big-time plays that flipped the field. What's your counter to that?
About them dropping passes?
Yeah, because people say, well, plays are there. Plays are made.
Plays are there. But then you look at the personnel, you're saying, well, how the hell is Charlie Warner getting the target? Charlie Warner is borderline. Like, would he be on another team if he got cut?
I don't get the Charlie Warner thing. He's always lined up improperly, and Jimmy's yelling at him to, move over.
I'm saying,
always.
Charlie Warner, Ray McCloud. He can't even catch a kickoff cleanly or a punt cleanly.
He got his bell rung.
Now we expect him to catch balls down the field.
Special teams still a problem.
Told you they're not special. They're just teams.